My name is Jacqueline, and today I'm going to be your personal health educator, and today you're going to learn how to plan and create healthy MyPlate meals and snacks. Planning healthy meals goes beyond deciding if you're just going to have chicken or fish for dinner. Planning healthy meals is about taking a little bit of time to see that you're getting everything that you need in a day. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify the 4 steps to healthy meal planning, name 2 things to keep in mind as you create your healthy meals, and finally, plan a week of healthy MyPlate meals and snacks. I have a handout and activity packet that you can use throughout the class. You can find them in the link in the description box below. Take a moment to pause this video and open up the handout. Great! Now, let's begin. Planning healthy meals and snacks can sometimes seem challenging and intimidating. So an easy tool that we're going to use today is MyPlate. MyPlate is a great tool that you can use to help you plan your healthy meals and snacks. It serves as a quick visual example that reminds us of which food groups we should aim to include in each of our meals. As you can see on our plate, we should aim to include each of the 5 food groups: our fruits, our vegetables, grains, protein, and our dairy. The first step to healthy meal planning is to review what you eat and see if you're including each of the 5 food groups. Let's take a look at what I eat in a day. As I walk you through what I eat, see if you can identify each food group included in each meal. For breakfast today, I had eggs, bacon, and a slice of toast with orange juice. I included 3 out of the 5 food groups at this meal. I included fruit from the orange juice, grains with the toast, and protein with the eggs and bacon. Did you get the food groups right? Great, now let's check out what I had for lunch. For lunch, I had a sandwich with some fruit. With this lunch, I included 3 out of the 5 food groups. I have the fruit food group with the fruit cup, the vegetable group with the sandwich toppings, the grain group from the bread, and the protein group with the sandwich meat. Let's look at dinner. For dinner, I had pasta with grilled chicken. At this meal, I got 3 out of the 5 food groups. I had the vegetable group with the tomatoes and mushrooms in the pasta sauce, the grain group with the pasta, and the protein group with the grilled chicken. My snack for today was hummus and vegetables. With my snack, I got 2 food groups, the vegetable group from the carrots and the protein group from the hummus. Snacks are a great way to include food groups you may have missed out on in other meals. Let's see the whole day all together. How did I do? I included the fruits, vegetables, grains, and proteins, but not the dairy food groups. Did I include all of the food groups in my meals? Almost, but that's okay. Apart from checking to see that I'm including each of the food groups in my meals, I also want to make sure that I'm eating the recommended amounts for each food group. Checking to see that I'm eating the recommended amounts of each food group is the second part of step 1. If you need an in-depth review of the MyPlate recommendations, check out the lesson, Building a Healthy Plate. It's time to take our healthy meal planning to the next level. To get all the nutrients you need in a day to fuel your body, you need different amounts of each food group. If you don't know what you need, check out the link below to retrieve your MyPlate Recommendation daily meal plan. But for now, we're going to use what you would need in a typical 2,000 calorie diet. In a typical 2,000 calorie diet, you would aim to eat 2 cups of fruit, 2.5 cups of vegetable, 6 ounces of grain, 5.5 ounces of protein, and 3 cups of dairy. Now, let's go back to what I ate in a day and try to add up how much of each food group I had. Starting with the fruit food group, I included 2 cups of fruit throughout my day by including the orange juice at breakfast and the fruit with my lunch. I included vegetables in my meals 3 times. I included vegetables with the sandwich I had at lunch, with the mushrooms and tomatoes mixed with my pasta at dinner, and the carrots for my snack. This adds up to a total of 2 cups. For the grain food group, I included grains at my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The grains I ate were the toast from breakfast, bread on my sandwich, and my pasta at dinner. In total, the amount of grains I ate adds up to 7 ounces. For the protein food group, I included protein in all my meals and in my snack. The proteins I ate were eggs, bacon, deli meat, hummus, and chicken. The total amount of proteins I ate in my day equals to a total of 8 ounces. And finally, for the dairy food group, I didn't include any dairy in my meals. How would you include the dairy food group in these meals? Was I able to include all of the food groups and meet the daily recommended amounts? Not entirely, but that's okay. Now I know exactly what I need to focus on in order to meet the MyPlate food group goals. To check what food you already have available at home, look through your refrigerator and pantry to see what food items you have available. You may find food items that may help you meet your MyPlate recommendations. Once you've taken stock of what you already have, you can start adjusting your meals. Let's see what changes I made to my meals with what I have at home. Starting with breakfast, I decided to substitute the buttered toast with whole grain toast topped with avocado. Next, I decided to switch the bacon for yogurt sprinkled with a few raspberries. I also reduced my portion to half a glass of orange juice. With these adjustments, I was able to include the vegetable and dairy food groups. You'll see why I cut down my portion of fruit juice when I show you the next meal. Now, let's move on to lunch. For lunch, I added a fruit parfait. The fruit parfait combined with the fruit cup helped me meet the recommended amount for the fruit food group. Because I added more fruit at this meal, I reduced my portion of orange juice at breakfast. With the addition of the fruit parfait, I included the fruit, grain, and dairy food groups in my lunch. The most adjustments were made to dinner. For dinner, I reduced the amount of pasta because I went over my daily grain recommendation. According to MyPlate, it's recommended that the grain food group cover a quarter of the plate. Next, I reduced a portion of chicken because I also went over the MyPlate protein recommendation with a larger piece. Then I added more of the vegetable food group because I was under my daily recommendation. And for dessert, I added a pudding cup. With these two adjustments, I included the vegetable and dairy food groups. Now let's review and see if the changes I made to my meals now meet the MyPlate recommendations. For the fruit food group, the orange juice at breakfast with some fruit added to the yogurt, the fruit parfait, and the mixed fruit at lunch gave me a total of 2 cups of fruit for the day. For the vegetable food group, adding the avocado at breakfast and the roasted vegetables at dinner gave me a total of 2.5 cups. Remember that according to MyPlate, aim to include a variety of fruits and vegetables in your day. For the grain food group, the bread from my breakfast and lunch, granola from the yogurt parfait, and pasta from my dinner gave me a total of 6 ounces. Other possible sources of grains you can include are oatmeal, whole grain pasta, and even popcorn. For the protein food group, the eggs from breakfast, meat from the sandwich, chicken for my dinner, and hummus for my snack gave me 5.5 ounces in total. Other options for sources of protein you can choose include fish, nuts, and legumes. And finally, for the dairy food group, the yogurt from the breakfast, the fruit parfait from lunch, and the pudding dessert at dinner gave me a total of 3 cups. Another simple strategy you can use to make sure you're including the recommended amounts for each food group is to combine food groups. Think back on the parfait I had for lunch. The yogurt parfait includes the fruit, grain, and dairy food groups. And what other meals are the food groups combined? Now that you know how to include the recommended amounts from each food group into your meals, it's time to move to step number 3, creating your weekly meal plan. Here I have a grocery game plan handout that you can use to help you brainstorm your meals. This meal plan is broken up into 3 meals and a snack section. As you fill in the meals that you would like to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, circle any meals that you notice are using repeating or similar ingredients. You can even use the notes section below to write down the name of the ingredients that you notice you're repeating often in your meals. Remember that this is your handout. You can be as detailed as you want to be when you fill it out. For example, for breakfast, you can write down that you're just having cereal with yogurt and fruit, or you can write down that you're having oatmeal with vanilla yogurt and blueberries. I have some final tips that will have you creating healthy meals like a pro. I mentioned that you can use the notes section below to write down the name of ingredients or foods that you're repeating often. This can be helpful for a couple of reasons. When you have ingredients that repeat often, you can cut down on your preparation time. For example, if you notice that you're using rice in a couple of your meals, you can create a large batch of rice at the beginning of the week to use throughout your meals. In addition to repeating food items, there are also a couple of other things to keep in mind. Number 1, food that you repeat often. Notice the foods that you tend to eat more of. Remember, you can create a large batch of a certain food, rice for example, at the beginning of the week to use throughout your week. Number 2, food you already have at home. You want to take advantage of the resources you already have. Look through your refrigerator and pantry to check what food items you already have at your disposal. You may end up finding things you didn't know you had and save yourself a trip to the grocery store. Number 3, food that you like to eat. Take note of what type of food you normally like to eat. What do your favorite foods have? Do you prefer sweeter or savory tasting food? Remember that you want to create healthy meals that you enjoy. For example, if you prefer sweeter tasting foods and you're looking for a way to increase the amount of fruit you eat, you can use strawberries drizzled in dark chocolate as a dessert. Number 4, food that is versatile. Think about how versatile a food item is. Can you use a certain food in multiple ways or in different meals? I mentioned strawberries. Strawberries are a great food that you can use in multiple ways. They can be used in breakfasts, salads, desserts, and smoothies. You can even freeze them and store them for later use. Okay, now it's time to put it all together. Let's do a quick review of the easy steps to healthy meal planning using the meal plan I've created for 2 days. Step 1. I reviewed what I normally ate to see if I was getting all of the MyPlate food groups and the daily recommended amounts for each. Then I made some adjustments in order to make sure that I was meeting the MyPlate recommendations. Once I made those adjustments, I was able to know what exactly I needed to focus on as I created my new meal plan. Step 2. I looked through my refrigerator and pantry to see what I already had available. I found that I had brown rice, beans, and chickpeas, so I made sure to include these in my meals. I found that I was able to use foods in multiple meals and in different ways. For example, I was able to use the brown rice, beans, and chickpeas in the breakfast burrito and the veggie quesadilla, and then later use the leftover vegetables as a snack. Step 3. I created my meal plan using the grocery game plan handout. Now that I reviewed each step, I'm going to walk you through a whole new day of meals. As I walk you through this whole new day of meals, try to keep an eye out for meals that have repeating ingredients. Time to review the new meal plan. For breakfast, I have a breakfast burrito and a fruit cup. In this meal, I'm getting all 5 food groups. I have fruit from the fruit cup, vegetables from the peppers, onions, and sweet potatoes in the burrito, grains from the tortilla and the granola, protein from the beans, and dairy from the yogurt. Let's check out what I had for lunch. For lunch, I'm having a black bean and vegetable quesadilla. In this meal, I have 4 out of the 5 food groups. For vegetables, I have the zucchini, spinach, and corn in the quesadilla. For grains, I have grains from the tortilla. I have protein from the black beans and dairy from the cheese. How would you include fruit in this meal? Now let's look at dinner. For dinner, I have chicken pozole with the carrot and jicama salad. In this meal, I have 4 out of the 5 food groups. For vegetables, I have carrot, jicama, celery, and onion from the salad and pozole, grains from the hominy in the pozole, protein from the chicken, and dairy from the yogurt in the salad. For our snack, I have a pumpkin and jalapeno hummus with pita chips. With the snack, I have 3 out of the 5 food groups. Vegetables from the pumpkin, grains from the pita chips, and protein from the chickpeas. Now it's time to double check the meals to see if all of the MyPlate food groups and recommended amounts were met. In total, this new meal plan gave me 2 cups of fruit when I added a side of fruit with my quesadilla. I added a fruit salsa. What did you add? I also got the recommended 2.5 cups of vegetables, 6 ounces of grain, 5.5 ounces of protein, and 3 cups of dairy. I included some good examples of combined foods that included more than one food group in these meals. Did I end up meeting the MyPlate recommendations? Yes, I did. The last step is to double check and see if the MyPlate recommendations were met. Were all of the food groups included? Yes. Were the recommended amounts met? Yes. For the second day of meals, I challenge you to review the meals and see if the MyPlate recommendations were met. And if the MyPlate recommendations were not met, what would you change about the meals? Time to review. Do you remember what the 4 steps are to planning healthy meals? Step 1. Review what you eat to see if you are including the MyPlate food groups and meeting the daily recommended values. Remember that you should aim to include fruits, vegetables, grains, protein, and dairy in your meals. Step 2. Check what food you already have at home. Remember to look through your refrigerator and pantry. It's easier to start creating healthier meals if you know what you already have available. Step 3. Create your meal plan. Use the handout to help you plan your meals. Use the notes section to write down the name of any ingredients or foods that can be used in multiple meals. Step 4. Double check that your meal plan includes all of the MyPlate food groups and the recommended daily amounts. Remember that in a 2,000 calorie diet, you would aim to include 2 cups of fruit, 2.5 cups of vegetables, 6 ounces of grain, 5.5 ounces of protein, and 3 cups of dairy. Can you tell me which 4 things you should keep in mind when you start planning your meals? Number 1, food you repeat often. Number 2, food you already have at home. Number 3, food that you like to eat. And number 4, food that is versatile. Keep things simple by using what you already have available to create healthy meals that you enjoy. Now that you know all the steps to creating an easy, healthy meal plan, it's time for you to create your own. Use the handouts. The more you practice, the easier it gets. You'll be a healthy meal planner pro in no time. Thank you for watching. I've enjoyed being your personal health educator. If you learned something new, give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to share what you've learned about planning healthy meals with your family and friends. Check out the other videos in this series to learn more about healthy meals. Don't forget to click subscribe and follow us at PSBuenaCocina on Facebook and Instagram for more great nutrition and recipe tips. If you haven't already, click the bell to get notified whenever we post more videos. Until next time, stay healthy.